Michael Jordan, all 6 finals Michael Jordan played against, he went against the Lakers. That was Magic Johnson. Last year he had AIDS. The next year you go against Portland Trail Blazers, who didn't have nobody but Clyde Drexler. And who? Kevin Duckworth? Oh, he's sorry. And then who they go against the next year? The Phoenix Suns, you had Charles Barkley and who else? Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley. Man, them niggas ain't no competition.
Oh shit, here we go again.
When it comes to LeBron versus Jordan debate, there's always been one video that's bugged me for the longest time. And this video involves this guy right here. And you might say, who is that? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. But his video, LeBron vs. Jordan, debating LeBron's favor, it goes viral every single summer. And for LeBron fans, this is kind of their gospel, their truth, for LeBron James being the greatest player of all time.
So if Michael Jordan came into the league in 1984, that man got eliminated 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90. The Pistons and the Celtics whooped his ass every time. I'm going to tell you something else I used to watch. The nigga scored 60-something in one game against Larry Bird and still lost the game. So it don't matter how great you are, you not going to win by yourself. It is a team sport.
Now, stopping him right there, that clip, to some fans might seem damning for Michael Jordan's career. As like he said, in 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90, Michael Jordan failed to win a championship, which of course is true. But what he fails to realize that exact same logic can be turned on LeBron James. As looking at LeBron's career, his first 2 years in the NBA, he missed the playoffs entirely. And then from 06 to 2011, failed to win a championship every single season. LeBron's first title came in year 9. Michael Jordan's first title came in year 7. And like he said, basketball, yes, it is a team sport. But looking at MJ versus LeBron pre-championships, Jordan was still playing fantastic, his team was just losing. LeBron James, he was individually choking, playing awful, and more times than not the reason his team lost in numerous playoff series. And looking at someone like Nick Wright, one of the biggest LeBron fans out there, even he admits Michael Jordan never had a truly dark moment like LeBron James.
And this is another check mark in Jordan's favor. To his credit, unlike LeBron and unlike Kareem, he never had the true dark playoff moment.
If you want to talk LeBron's dark moments pre-championship, the first big one was in the NBA Finals in 07 versus the Spurs. As in this series, start to finish games 1 through 4 was completely abysmal. As in the series, shot 35%, with over 5 turnovers per game.
5.5 remaining. They're out of timeouts. James on the drive, fires a three. Off the mark.
The next big-time playoff failure in 08 versus the Celtics. As in this series, LeBron James shot 35% and had numerous duds leading up to Game 7. 2010 versus Boston, an even bigger failure, as in this series the Cavaliers, they were the favorites to win and a 2-1 lead on Boston. But despite that, LeBron James in the final 3 games was absolutely abysmal, shooting 34% from the field and quitting on Cleveland.
Won't go, rebound Garnett, and that's it. The Boston Celtics with the huge upset. They advance to the conference finals.
And last but not least, the creme de la creme, the finals versus Dallas in 2011. As once again LeBron's team, they were a heavy favorite to win the series and win the championship. But in numerous fourth quarters, games 1 through 6, he was a ghost, invisible, and a no-show for his team when they needed him most.
Gets it back up top to James. James fakes, drives, pull-up jumper. Won't go.
Michael Jordan, all 6 finals Michael Jordan played against, he went against the Lakers. That was Magic Johnson. Last year he had AIDS. James Worthy and Byron Scott was out of the series because they was hurt. So it was just Michael Jordan against a sorry Lakers team.
So, stopping this guy right here, a lot of distortions of the facts and flat-out lies. Worthy and Scott for the series versus the Bulls, no, they were not out the entire series. Magic Johnson, no, he didn't have AIDS. And Lakers team, they weren't sorry. The 91 Lakers, they won 58 games, and out of the entire NBA, were one of 2 teams top of an offense and defensive rating. The other team, the 91 Blazers, who in the playoffs, the Lakers beat in the West Finals. For a lot of MJ's finals opponents, the history gets rewritten years after the fact, as heading into this series, the media as well as fans thought this series would be very, very competitive.
The Chicago Bulls
Domination of this series has to be considered a major surprise. Mike, there was no reason to believe that the Lakers would fall apart so dramatically.
I think it was a combination of things. I'm not quite sure that everyone gave the Bulls the credit they deserved throughout the season. I think everyone felt the balance of power was in the West this year, that Portland, in fact, was the best team, and when the Lakers got by them, that the Lakers then were just going to put the Bulls away.
I mean, that right there is insight in the moment in 91, what people thought about the Lakers versus the Bulls. This series was much closer than a 4-1 series. And of course, looking at LA's roster, Magic, he wasn't washed, didn't have AIDS, wasn't far past his prime. Magic in 91 finished second in MVP, only to Jordan, and 90-89 had won the award back-to-back. James Worthy was third-team All-NBA, the best year of his career. Byron Scott, a veteran player, 3-time champion, Vlade Divac, the playoff leader in blocks, and Sam Perkins, who averaged 18 points per game. And let's be 100% honest about this series. Byron Scott and James Worthy, yes, they were hurt and they got injured. Were they injured the entire series? No. But here's the thing. For LeBron fans, keep that same energy. As of course in 2016, the Warriors, Steph in the entire playoff run was hobbled banged up start to finish. Draymond in the finals, he got suspended, and Bogut in Game 7, he was injured. The Heat in 2020, very similar thing. Bam Adebayo missed numerous games. Goran Dragic, one of their lead guards, leading scorers, also missed multiple games.
The next year you go against Portland Trail Blazers, who didn't have nobody but Clyde Drexler. And who? Kevin Duckworth? Oh, he's sorry. Who else did they have? Jerome Kersey? Oh, he's sorry.
Now once again, stopping this guy very quickly, the lies are just flying so fast, it's hard to keep up. The 92 Blazers, it wasn't just Clyde Drexler. This team, top to bottom, debatably, was the most talented team in the league. The only problem is, Clyde Drexler was not Michael Jordan. And the guys he named, Jerome Kersey, Kevin Duckworth, they were solid players, they were good players. But who does he conveniently leave out? Of course, Terry Porter, who 91-93 was an all-star player. And Porter 92 of the playoffs, 21.4 points per game, 7 assists, 5 boards, on absurd shooting. Terry Porter 92 is one of 2 guards ever to score 450 points in the playoffs on 64% or higher true shooting. The only other player to do it, Steph Curry in 2017. But you know, Terry Porter, this guy, just trash, and not deserving of being mentioned for the 92 Blazers. Now looking past Porter, also Buck Williams, all-defensive second team, led the NBA in field goal percentage. Cliff Robinson, a fantastic sixth man, who actually won the award in 93, was an All-Star in 94. Danny Ainge, a veteran player, also a former All-Star, and great role player off the bench.
And then who they go against the next year? The Phoenix Suns, you had Charles Barkley and who else? Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley. Man, them niggas ain't no competition.
So stopping that clip very quickly, this guy's MO is becoming very apparent. Don't address MJ as a player, address his competition, his era, being garbage and trash. And look, if you're a basketball fan, Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson, they aren't quote-unquote no competition. Kevin Johnson in the early 90s, 1994, was a 4-time All-NBA player, 3-time All-Star, who averaged 10 assists or more, 3 consecutive seasons.
9 in the quarter for Ellie, and
In your face, Kevin Johnson!
Thunder Dan, at the same time period, a 2-time All-Star, 2-time defensive, and 1-time top 5 in the DPOY. Saying these 2 guys weren't great players, weren't solid players, is beyond blasphemy. And Kevin Johnson actually is a Hall of Fame point guard who isn't in the Hall of Fame. Now, one guy who is in the Hall of Fame is, of course, Charles Barkley.
Rebound stolen by Thomas. To Barkley, over Mutombo. Damn!
I mean, Charles 93, one of the best power forwards of all time, as in the playoffs, had 16 games with a 20-point double-double. That is the 3rd most all-time in the postseason, behind Shaq and Moses, and tied with Tim Duncan in 2003.
And then you left, if you were so good, when you left the Bulls to go play baseball, Michael Jordan, you left the Bulls. After you left the Bulls, they had won 58 games. The next year, they still won 56 games with Scottie Pippen. So that lets you know Scottie Pippen was still hooping, because even after you left, they still went to the end of the playoffs and almost made the finals and won 7 games with the Knicks. So what are you talking about?
So stopping this guy right here, typical LeBron James argument, Jordan on the Bulls, 57 wins. Jordan off the Bulls, they won 55. Now here's the problem, this argument, it lacks tons of context and is common sense. The 93 Bulls, what were they in pursuit of? The elusive three-peat that hadn't been done since Bill Russell's days.
Jordan on the drive and it's stripped away.
It's tough. It's just tough to get ourselves the mental frame of starting fresh. You know, we just went through this. We got to go through it again, and I think that hindered the way we started the season.
Started out with a lot of guys not healthy, and a lot of guys, speaking as myself and Michael, not really ready for the season to come so quickly.
The physically and mentally fatigued Bulls suddenly found themselves stripped of their aura of invincibility. And for the first time in years, struggling for victories.
So looking at team records solely, saying they won 2 less games without Jordan, one year to the other, one of the dumbest things you could possibly do. As looking at three-peat teams, almost every single time through history, the third championship is the hardest. Look at the Bulls, for example. 91, 61 wins. 92 bumps up 6 games, but 93 falls off drastically. And like you saw in that video clip, the Bulls that year, they were injured, fatigued, mentally, they were just kind of off. The second three-peat, kind of the same thing. 96 Bulls, 72 wins. 97, a very small drop-off. Then 98, Pippen gets hurt, misses 38 games, it drops to barely 60 wins.
With Scottie Pippen. So that lets you know Scottie Pippen was still hooping, because even after you left, they still went to the end of the playoffs and almost made the finals and won 7 games with the Knicks.
When someone says end of the playoffs, what are you thinking? I'm thinking bare minimum NBA Finals, maybe Game 7 in the conference finals. What I'm not thinking of is Game 7 of the second round. If that Bulls team 94, quote unquote, almost went to the end of the playoffs, how many players in league history have almost made it to the end of the playoffs? I mean, someone like Joel Embiid 2 years ago in 2021 lost in Game 7 to the Hawks. That was in the second round. Did he almost go to the end of the playoffs? Of course not. Last year's Knicks team, Jalen Brunson, lost in Game 7 to the Pacers. Did Brunson almost make it to the end of the playoffs? Of course not. He was far from it. And here's the most damning example no one talks about. The Miami Heat in 2016, minus Chris Bosh, post LeBron James, they also went to Game 7 in the second round versus the Toronto Raptors.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
And one last nugget I do want to throw in there. The 95 Bulls pre-MJ, what was their record? They were 34-31, fighting for a playoff spot. Point being, the Bulls minus MJ, yes, 94 sustained it for a solid season. But 95 had fallen back into mediocrity, and Pippen himself was begging MJ to come out of retirement.
Then he came back and played the Seattle Supersonics in 95. And the Seattle Supersonics, who did they beat? Nobody. Went to the finals once, played Gary Payton. Man, you sorry.
So once again, stopping this guy, just saying certain players, they stunk, they weren't good, and just saying that as gospel, it doesn't make you right. Gary Payton wasn't some trash player. In 96, debatably, is the best on-ball point guard, on-ball guard we've ever seen.
Cavs have come out over the top. Low pass. James hands it, blocked by Payton. James, they get it in his hands. Crown on its feet. Too late. James for the win.
I mean, this Sonics team, top to bottom, they were stacked and loaded. Not just Payton, but also Detlef Schrempf, a 2-time All-Star, and Shawn Kemp, who should have been a Hall of Famer. As Kemp entered those finals, he was a walking 20-10, 2 blocks on almost 60% shooting. And one thing I do want to note very quickly, 96 Sonics, who did they beat in the playoffs? They beat the Houston Rockets, the 2-time defending champions. And actually check that, they didn't just beat them, they swept them 4-0. This Seattle team, offensively and defensively, were elite. As a net rating, they ranked second only to the Bulls, one of the greatest teams of all time. They were second in points per game, 8th in points per game allowed, second in defensive rating, and 8th in offensive rating.
And then who you play after that? A 34 and 35-year-old John Stockton and Karl Malone? That's who you went up against? An old-ass Utah team? So what? You won 6 times? So what? LeBron done went 8 times already. You only done went 6 times.
This guy's hypocrisy right here is off the charts. For Michael Jordan winning championships, that is a team accomplishment. LeBron making the finals, that is a LeBron accomplishment.
You not gonna win by yourself. It is a team sport.
A few moments later.
LeBron done went 8 times already.
I rest my case.
Now, looking at his second point regarding the Utah Jazz, calling this team old and washed up, downplaying how great they were, I mean, go ahead and do that. Never mind them winning 64 games and the best record in the NBA. You know, forget that. They were old and they stunk. Let's roll with that. The first time Jordan beat Karl Malone, of course, was in '97. Malone at that point was 33. For some comparison, Malone being washed at 33, Duncan in 2013, 37, Manu, 35, Parker, 31. The first time LeBron beat Boston in 2011, Ray Allen, he was 35, Pierce, 34, and Garnett, also 34. You see the hypocrisy? Karl Malone's considered old, washed, that Jazz team is written off. The first time LeBron beats the Spurs or Celtics, age is never mentioned.
Jordan, he was good, but guess what? He used to kick it over to Paxson. Money. He used to kick it over to B.J. Armstrong. Money. He used to kick it out to Steve Kerr. Money. Them niggas was money. You know what I'm saying? Scottie Pippen, best two-way player, first team All-NBA defense, Hall of Famer. What is y'all talking about?
Now, stopping right there once again, this guy lists off B.J. Armstrong, Steve Kerr, and John Paxson, 3 guys for the Bulls who were role players. Think about that. Role players. The one All-Star Jordan had was Scottie Pippen. The only All-Star he ever had was Scottie Pippen. Like I said earlier, this guy's arguments against Jordan, they backfire on LeBron James. As in LeBron's career, he's had more role player help and superstar help. Look at Cleveland alone. Kyrie, Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Shumpert, Jefferson, Korver, Channing Frye, even a Tristan Thompson. Down in Miami, a loaded roster. Mike Miller, Battier, Ray Allen, Chalmers, Wade, and Bosh. In Los Angeles, a prime Anthony Davis, who actually was the best two-way player in the game. Also had KCP, Westbrook, Carmelo, Rondo, Caruso, Kuzma, Dwight Howard. The list goes on and on and on of Hall of Fame, All-Star, and great role player talent LeBron James had in 3 separate spots. And one thing I do want to highlight looking at Steve Kerr and John Paxson, yes, for Jordan, they hit big-time shots. But here's the difference. Paxson 93, when he made this shot, the Bulls were up 3-2. And Michael Jordan directly was involved with the play in a positive way.
They want Michael to get a full head of steam, try to keep him in the middle of the floor.
Well, Pippen got the snap. Here's Paxson for 3. Yes!
97, a very similar deal. Chicago, they were up 3-2. And Michael Jordan directly had a positive impact on Steve Kerr making that shot.
Looking for Michael Jordan. Checks the clock. 5 on the 24. Here's Jordan. Did not have the shot. Kerr does.
LeBron James, his career, the 2 big shots they've hit, 2013 versus the Spurs. His connection to that play was him breaking a shot, boshing the rebound, and Ray hitting the shot. 2016 Kyrie shot, LeBron James had no involvement whatsoever. And in both those games, 2013 and 2016, LeBron's team was facing elimination. If you want to bring up Paxson, Kerr, B.J. Armstrong, do that all day long. But just know LeBron's teammate resume, I mean, that list is 10 times longer and 10 times more stacked.
This nigga done went in every finals he played against, it was only 1 Hall of Famer on the other team. LeBron going against 4 Hall of Famers. They have to get 2 MVPs and 4 All-Stars to beat this man. They can't beat this man. You better crown the king, goddammit. Crown him.
Crown. Now, that right there is our last clip, and this guy goes out with a bang, just lying through his teeth repeatedly. As saying Michael Jordan's final opponents only had 1 Hall of Famer each, it's a downright lie. I mean, most obviously the Jazz, Stockton, Malone, 2 Hall of Famers, argument's dead right there. But even looking further than that, someone being a quote-unquote Hall of Famer really means nothing. For example, look at J. Kidd in 2011 versus Terry Porter in 92. J. Kidd, a Hall of Famer, one of the best point guards of all time. But 2011 J. Kidd, far from that. Terry Porter, not a Hall of Famer or a top 10 point guard all time. But in 92, he was playing pretty damn close to that level. That entire line of thinking is so flawed, so dumbed down, it makes my head hurt. The 91 Lakers technically had 3 Hall of Famers: Vlade, Magic, Worthy. Now the 91 Lakers, 3 Hall of Famers, it means nothing. The 96 Sonics, they had 1 Hall of Famer, that being GP. I'd personally argue that Sonics team was better than the 91 Lakers despite 2 less Hall of Famers. Again, I'm going to show you guys the Hall of Fame argument means nothing, provides no context to how good the player was in the moment. Whew. So that right there, that was a long video. Tons of lies, half-truths, and just generally false statements, dumb statements. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.